Welcome, low ego action heroes. Look who I have with me today. The original low ego action hero, Diana. And Diana just came home from escaping and running in the woods. Hi, Diana. How's it going? Pretty good, huh? You got a lot done, right? Did you see your friends? Did you get some good stuff done? You smell like a tree. Well, I think we're almost ready for sleeping now. So it's office hours, ask me anything, and I do have some questions ready to go. But Diana just came home with her mom, Olivia. Okay, do you want to be on the show some more, or do you want to go down? You throwing up? What are you doing? You gonna sit with me? Okay, you can sit with me. Is this too high? No, okay. All right, so here we are. Maybe I'll put her down. She's being a little weird. Okay, go down. Daddy, can you feed the girls, please? Okay, well, moving on. So welcome everybody to Office Hours Ask Me Anything, and we do have some questions that are already on the big board because I do accept questions all during the week. You can certainly use the old link or the new link, which is deltacx.link /ask. That'll work. And let me start all the screens. Okay. And of course, we are live on Twitch, deltacx.com, which has a really low delay, so it's great for things being a little bit more like a conversation. I am also live on YouTube and on LinkedIn Live, which usually has a long delay. So there you go. And of course, we welcome you to subscribe and press the like button and do all the things that make the show fun. If anybody wants to donate to the tip jar, you are now funding the new supercomputer that I've ordered, so my streams won't crash ever again, with my gratitude for that. So let me start with the questions that we have. I think I got 3 or 4 questions already, and we'll start with those, and then we'll see what else comes in as we go. But you're welcome to ask your questions in the chat room if you don't mind us knowing who you are. If you need to be anonymous, you can use the anonymous link. So let's start with the first question that I got. It's a long one, but it's a good one. How would you define user onboarding? I'm a little confused because I'm working on a project where people seem to define it differently. Someone at my company said onboarding is about getting the user to experience the aha moment as quick as possible and getting them to build a habit around it. I never necessarily saw onboarding as about habit building per se. I think it could contribute to that, but I thought it was more of getting users familiar with a new interface or allowing them to customize an experience. I never knew aha moment was a defined thing, but then saw this blog post here, which looks like it's from the Intercom blog, Understanding Your Aha Moments and Putting Them to Work, and I was just confused. It sounds like identifying user needs or things users value, but wrapped up in a different name. I'd like to hear your thoughts. Okay, so let's mostly talk about onboarding because the aha moment I think is different for everybody, and I'm not sure how much our users have an aha moment. I think they just want us to make their tasks easy to do. Easy to learn, easy to do. I think that's what they want. So let's take a look at how I would talk about the onboarding. So I think there's a few different definitions of onboarding. I know that when I see bootcamp portfolios that are doing onboarding, very often this is like a whole bunch of screens at the beginning, usually of an app, that are like, our app does this, and our app does this, and our app does this. And it's like this tutorial. And of course, if you're lucky, there's a skip link on it. Some people claim that that's onboarding, but I think when I think about onboarding, and I think if you look up user onboarding, which is a really fun kind of slideshow blog where a guy shows you the way different companies onboard people, I think of it more as the process where if you have some sort of app or website or system that requires some initial setup before people can use it, they have to sign up for an account. Maybe that's it. Maybe you need more information from them after they sign up for an account. Maybe they have to link something or agree to something or start setting up a team or something like that. Usually that is, I think, the more traditional definition of onboarding, that there's something people have to do to be able to use this product that they have to do now. If the information is optional and they don't need to do it right away, then we don't have to push them to do that. We can let them start exploring the app or the website or the system. But I think of onboarding the way the user onboarding website does, where it's the process by which we initiate that new relationship with some sort of app or system, and thereby usually it's filling out information or settings. I'm trying to think of some examples. A place like LinkedIn might want you to start putting in your work history. So, or they might let you sign up and not put that in. So I think of those types of things as onboarding. I don't think of it as a user aha moment. And I also don't think of it as the time for a tutorial, because let's face it, nobody wants a lecture. Most of us skip those. And if your system is not intuitive, then the tutorial might not help, because when they come back, they might not remember what the tutorial said to do. So I tend to be against these opening tutorials that a lot of people do. I want to skip them. And I tend to suggest that if there is something not intuitive about your app or system, number one, fix it. Number two, consider if you do need to give someone some sort of help or look at this new feature, that you do it in that moment. Rather than, here's a bunch of screens telling you things you might or might not run into later. When I run into that thing, give me information about it or offer me optional help with it. And that would be one way to go. I haven't seen any comments or hellos yet. Is this live? Are people getting notified? I think YouTube notified. Okay, LinkedIn notified. And Twitch notified. Okay, well, we're live, everybody. I hope you'll be joining us. So, that's some of my opinions. I didn't look at the blog post. I apologize if that was important for the question, but I think ultimately the aha moment is, to me, something else, but I'm not sure our users have a lot of aha moments. I mean, to me, the aha moment is, oh, I didn't know I could do that. Look at that, I can do it. So I don't know. So I guess I would disagree with getting the users to experience the aha moment. Again, if they're in your system and they're signing up, we really don't want to stall them and we don't want to delay them from letting them use the system. So all these things we put up, I tend to think that they summon the 4 horsemen of bad UX. Of course, my registered trademark. I would say this is maybe the horseman of distraction over here on this end, because I really want people to just start using the system, and I want to collect the least amount of information I can from them to just let them use the system. If you're watching live and that really wasn't where you were going with the question, please do give me a follow-up question either through the anonymous link or in one of the chat rooms. I am monitoring the chat rooms. Oh, here comes a bunch of chats. They were just all bottled up. So hello. Darren says, I'm here. Kayleen says hi. Abraham says hi. Matt says live. Charlene says, hey, I just joined. Someone else says, hi, Debbie. Angel says here. Mohammed says, hello from Egypt. Kayleen says, I think I got here right after your dog. Yeah. Avram says, your description of onboarding sounds a little like progressive disclosure. Not exactly, in my opinion. Progressive disclosure is usually when you're filling out a form and we don't show people a follow-up question until we know how they've answered the previous question. So when you take my Acture class, the example I use is, do you have a dog? Yes or no? And the follow-up question is, what's your dog's name? We don't want to show you what's your dog's name if you don't have a dog. So the progressive disclosure allows us to keep the form simple and shorter and only reveal things or disclose things as moving through the form requires it. So think of it almost as like skip logic. And I believe Larry Marine invented the term progressive disclosure. So we love him. Kayleen says your favorite notation software has video tutorials linked in the sidebar, blah. Yeah, and again, the more I see tutorials, the more I think you're sending the message of, we did not make this more intuitive. We don't think you're going to figure it out. Please go to school. Please go to our company school and learn what this is. Okay, so Matt's got a question, but Matt, I'm going to put this on the list after some of the questions that came in anonymously during the week. So please know I will get to you, but you are just not next. And Shahadubur, I'm sorry I didn't pronounce that well, says I do the same. I designed a visualizer for a flooring company. I didn't have multiple screens for onboarding. I kept the option to learn about the components. All right, fair enough. So let's look at our next question that I got ahead of time. And this one says, I have so many windows here, it's crazy. How can I start getting hands-on experience with information architecture and interaction design when I have zero research to work with? Okay, so it wasn't clear from this question if this person is still learning or new and wants to do some practice information architecture and interaction design, or if this is a job scenario where you're expected to do interaction design but you don't have research to work with. So I'm not too sure which you mean. Hi, Wilson. And I see the question coming in from Video Ask. So thanks, everybody. I'm going to do my best to juggle all the things. So, Robert, I've got your question here, and you will be put on the end of the list. No offense. That's the way it goes here. Long list. Okay, so I would say if you are trying to practice information architecture and interaction design and you need real research, my question would be, do you need practice doing research? Because maybe doing a practice research project is just another way to, of course, practice and broaden your skills. See if you can come up with a sample project and find 5, 6, 7, 8 people that you can interview about it and come up with something. And then you'd be able to show your information informed decisions about information architecture and interaction design, because you're right, if you try to do a sample, let's say it's a sample project, or even a real project at work, if you don't have good research, you're probably guessing, or you're making what you like, or you're making what you think is a good idea. And ultimately, these sometimes don't look good in a portfolio. I like to say Debbie and Darren and Dr. Nick are not going to be thrilled to see all of your guessing. Adis is here. I'm so happy to be here. I'm so happy you are here. Let's put you up on the screen. Yay, Adis is here, everybody. I would say do the research. I don't have like research in a jar where I can give you like somebody else's canned research and now you can design something from it. But I would say kind of the worst thing you can do is skip the research, skip it all together, and just guess at something, especially if that's going to go in a portfolio, because I'm going to look at it and go, okay, there's no research here. This person just guessed. They're just guessing. This is web design. You know, to me, it's web design when you just make what the client wants or you just don't involve users at all. So that's what I would say. Yeah, I don't know about pasta la masta. What does that mean? Is that like hasta la vista? I don't get it. Oh, you made it on a whim. It's fun. Person who asked that question, if you're here, please give a follow-up question in the chat room or anonymously, just so I can make sure I'm understanding you correctly and hopefully headed in the right direction with what you're saying. But I'm going to move on because we are already getting a mountain of questions. Now, the next question was so good. Thanks to the anonymous person who asked it, that I'm absolutely going to make a perspectives video about it. I hope everybody has gone into the YouTube channel and looked at the perspectives playlist. These are all short videos, mostly under 5 minutes, that answer one question, usually a burning question or one I get a lot. So make sure you're hanging out and seeing the perspectives, though I do still recommend Twitch for the live streams because the delay is so much shorter. So check out this question, and I absolutely invite the person who asked it to have the coworkers they're talking about watch my answer directly from me if they don't want to repeat this. Zach Hill says, hi. Thanks for LinkedIn convo. You're breaking my heart. I know, Zach. You are breaking my heart. I just hope it doesn't come back to hurt you in the end, or that I can save the world before you get the chance to burn it to the ground with your workshops. Okay, so this is a really great question. I want everybody to sit tight and comment and throw emojis at this one. Here's the question. I'm a UX researcher, and something I've really struggled with lately is that I feel I work better when I have time and space to process data and findings on my own, but it seems nowadays everyone wants to be involved. I'm certainly not anti-collaboration, but I don't love having to have workshops about everything. For sprints or coming up with research questions or clustering themes from interviews, etc. I was having a one-on-one with a product manager recently, and he said something along the lines of, "I believe everyone on the team should be doing UX research." But I kind of resent this. I feel like I was hired because I have a certain level of expertise in this topic, so why do I have to include everyone in every aspect? Why can't I just get on and plan and execute and analyze on my own? I fully believe in getting everyone involved in watching the sessions, taking notes and discussing findings, but there's got to be a line somewhere, right? Maybe I'm being a control freak, but I'd like to hear your thoughts on this. Great, and I'm glad Zach is here for this one. So this was so good, I made some notes because when I do my perspectives video, I want to make sure I cover this. So I want to ask that product manager who said everyone should do UX research a number of questions. Question 1, what parts of the research should non-researchers be involved in? Now, if that person says all of them, my follow-up question would be, no, which parts? There are many tasks in UX research. There are many methodologies in UX research. Which ones do you mean? Now, not only am I trying to get this person to narrow down so I can see if they have one particular thing in mind, because sometimes I'd like to ask people questions. I think that would be cool. Or I wish I could do that sticky note board affinity map thing. That looks fun. Or sometimes it's genuinely, they don't even know what we do. And they think we wake up, ask people questions, put sticky notes on a wall, and boom, we have a report. So I would be asking question 1, which parts of the research do you think others should be involved in, to see if I can get that person to narrow things down a little bit. And again, if they're still insisting it's everything, so whether they insist it's everything or they have specific areas that they are targeting, like the asking of the questions or the analysis or something like that, here's my next question, and I do have a perspectives video on this one, but let's repeat it again. What are the qualifications to do that work? And the reason I ask that is because I have a policy, and that policy is if someone wouldn't qualify for a job at our company doing this, we don't have them do it. So, hey, product manager, why are we asking people who would not qualify to get or do a UX research job at our company to do UX research? Would we give someone product management work if they did not qualify for a product management job? Would we let someone write code or deploy a Kubernetes cluster if they did not qualify to be a developer or a DevOps engineer? So again, we are just narrowing down here with this person. So I would say, you want everybody to interview people? What's everybody's qualifications in doing research and running interviews? And they might be like, what do you mean qualifications? Well, I got this research job because I'm a qualified researcher. So if we want other people to do research, we should check that they're qualified too. We don't just give people random tasks from other people's jobs, right? Also, and this isn't in my list, but also I read up a lot on team building when I was writing my book 2 years ago. And I found that one of the key things you can do in team building is understand what each other does and value and respect that. And that teams are actually worse when there isn't that understanding and there isn't that value and respect. So this runs the risk of lacking value and respect if someone is treated like, oh yeah, I guess anybody can ask people questions. Also remember, don't forget my model of phases of proficiency. Asking people questions is building blocks. Doing it correctly with science and technique is a whole other level of skill and proficiency. We want this, and we kind of want this. We want strategy too, but we definitely want people who are like, I'm going to ask people questions. This ain't Fisher Price. We've got mission critical work, and we are not going to be able to put up with that. Now, of course, we also understand the iceberg version of the same model. People see the interviews and the research and they go, oh, that looks so easy, I could do that. And they don't understand all the science and technique and strategy that is below the surface of the water where the iceberg really lives. So they see what you're doing, they think, oh, everybody can do that, let's all do that. My third question to the product manager is, what is the cost-benefit analysis of having other people being taken off of their day-to-day work to do your work? So remember, if we are saying to the developer, stop coding, you're going to work on research. Marketing, stop marketing, you're going to work on research. Somebody else, stop what you're doing, you're going to work on research. What is the cost of that to our project timing, to our budget, and what is the benefit of that? Because again, I don't believe the benefit is there. And I'm worried about people who are not knowledgeable, not educated, not trained, don't have necessarily any skill or talent in this area being given this work to do. So someone do a cost-benefit analysis of taking other people away from their work, therefore getting less of their work done, to stab at your work. My fourth question, I think I'm up to 4. I think I said 4 again. Hold on. Which parts of the research should people be involved in? What are their qualifications to do that work? What's the cost-benefit analysis of taking them off their day-to-day work to do your work? And next, what is the cultural impact when the message to you is that your work and expertise aren't appreciated? Yes, I'm asking the product manager that right now. How would it impact the culture of our workplace, the culture of our team, the cohesiveness of our team, when the message to me is that my work and expertise are not appreciated? It's something anybody can do, whether or not they do it well. Is anyone going to judge if anyone else from our cross-functional team does research well? Or are we just going to see if they did it? Research is not a box we just check off without looking at if it were done well with science and technique and a solid approach. So, hey, product manager, how is the culture at this company? I think I'm missing a word here. How is the culture of this company when you were hired for your specialty, UX researcher? What's the culture like at this company when you can be told that you should let everybody else guess or stab or give a pin the tail on the donkey try at what you do? This is a difficult culture. This is the kind of thing that people go to HR for. This is the kind of thing that makes people want to leave jobs. Product manager, I'm not saying your UX researcher is going to quit. I hope this person will stay, but this is the type of stuff that goes down badly. And you might say, "Oh, Debbie, she's so emotional. Debbie, she's so hysterical. Debbie, it's funny. It's always so easy to say somebody is an emotional wreck and hysterical. I don't think I look or sound emotional or hysterical, but it's always easy to try to pass this off as some sort of emotional thing. But I say this is not emotional. This is our jobs. And some people have emotional reactions to their job and some people don't. But you are asking unqualified people to do specialist work for, as far as I can tell, no good reason. So I'm going to go with no, and I'm going to tell the person who asked the question, you are not being a control freak. It is completely normal for you to imagine that you were hired for your specialties and your abilities, and that we shouldn't just have everybody else start doing your job. Because if that's the way it goes, then I want to know from the product manager, when do I get to make the product roadmap? I know how to use AHA. I'm great at making product roadmaps. When will you step aside and let me make the product roadmap? Now, that person might think that they can get around that by going, "Oh, yeah, I'll let you work on that with me." Good. Let's do it. And then as for research, I'll be happy to invite you to the sessions where we consider what our research goals are and what we want to learn. I'll be happy to invite you to the sessions where you can observe or watch some of my recorded videos. I'll be happy to invite you to some of the sessions where we discuss some of the outcomes and the findings and the insights and the opportunities and where we can go from here. But other than that, unfortunately, it doesn't really make sense for you to stop doing your mission critical work to try to do my mission critical work when, no offense, but you wouldn't qualify to get my job. I know there's no way to say that doesn't end up sounding quite combative, but please remember that that's a reaction to what was said to you. You didn't just show up and get all crazy combative and fly off the handle and act like a jerk or a bitch or whatever. It's a reaction to when people tell us these things, and it can be a little bit of gaslighting, and they may not know it. And so I hope you will show this to your manager, to your coworkers, and blame it on me. But these are the messages that they need to hear, and that if they want to foster UX research at this company, they've got to foster UX research at this company done by people who do it well. And if we don't have enough researchers for what the company needs, that's wonderful to hear, because then that means you should be opening up research jobs. Not letting marketing try some research, not letting QA testers try some research, not letting systems analysts try some research. It's just not the way to do it. And it's not what we do in any other area at our company. When developers get really busy, they don't ask marketing to come and help. I'm sorry I had the extra long answer to that, but I wanted to make sure we got through that, because I'm hoping that you will show this video to your manager and maybe to that product manager. And hopefully, to me, this is something you go to your manager with and say, I need help. And so I hope that helps. Whew. Everybody okay after that one? I know I am. So moving on. Next is, how much should I know or understand about the business as a UX designer? Also a super question. So when we talk about the business, we usually mean the side of the company that really cares about goals, strategies, the initiatives that will achieve these goals and strategies. Ultimately, it's important to connect with stakeholders and other people at our company or on our projects to see what their expectations are. What do they need? Now, that doesn't mean we just go and do it. We are problem finders before we're problem solvers. Wilson says, I need to start making popcorn for these sessions. They're so good. Thank you. Zach says that was great. Thank you, Zach. I know we'll end up buddies. So I think it's important to understand that, first of all, there is a business and they have goals, and they are sometimes nothing like what our customers are hoping to get done. They conflict, and that's where a lot of the conflict at our jobs comes from as well. Now, I always try to remind everybody on the business side that Agile, if you really look at the original definitions of Agile, Agile welcomes change so that we can harness that change for the customer's advantage and therefore our competitive advantage. Agile Manifesto Principle number 2. So hypothetically, as we learn what users and customers need, hopefully through our good qualitative research, then we would be able to go back to the business, whoever that is, and say, hey, this is the direction we should be going in for customers. Now, let's create that overarching strategy. Let's create business goals that match customers' goals. Because right now it feels like this is what the business wants to do and build, and this is what our customers want. Well, the customers are not going to change what they need from us, what they expect from us. Why doesn't the business change? Isn't that what agility is all about? So we need to find a way to bring these together. This is live Venn diagram, everybody, please. Kayleen had a baked potato. Oh, so lucky. So we need to find a way to bring these together. So how much can you understand about the business? The business is sometimes a little weird because they come up with strategies and goals and adventures that seem to run against what customers need. And we see this every time marketing says, just build a pop-up. Just build a pop-up and make them sign up to our mailing list, which nobody wants no one ever. So how much should you know about this as a designer? You're not going to run out and get an MBA, and that's fine. But it's okay to improve your relationships with stakeholders, with marketing. I really think we have to improve our relationships with marketing, with sales, with other people at the company, so we can learn what are they hoping will be the outcome of these projects. Sure, we always hope users will buy more, do more, whatever it is. Do they have specific goals they're trying to achieve? Very often there are numbers attached to this. We should know about that. And maybe we should know why those are. And we should know where there's flexibility. You know, sometimes people say to me, yeah, we really want to create more engagement. And I go, more engagement sounds cool. How does your company make money? Oh, we make money when people buy shoes from us. Well, then why more engagement? Marketing said we need more engagement. Okay, but why? What does that mean? Let's keep asking questions. Dig, dig, dig. So I would say dig and ask questions. Always keep that critical thinking hat on. Who's got theirs? I think my seat's a little high today, or I changed my camera. So make sure critical thinking hat is on when you hear stuff from the business, and that you're still being that problem finder and you're asking those questions. 'Cause I remember the business coming to me at one of my jobs and saying 27% of users are not filtering their mobile search results. So we're going to have you build something that forces them to filter their search results. And I said, can you slice out that data and show me that these people are then having a problem because they're not filtering? Are they buying less? Are they complaining more? Are they shopping less often? Couldn't find any of that. We're just going to be forcing people into filters. It didn't make sense. And that one didn't go well. So I think it's okay to understand things from the business, but still push back on them. Wilson asks, am I selling those hats? No, these are official Disney merchandise. So I am not qualified to sell official Disney licensed merchandise. However, I have seen 3 of these on eBay. If you would like your own, this is the limited edition 2013 Disney Couture Steampunk hat. So you can blow your money on that if you'd like. But I do not sell those hats. They are truly Disney hats. I hope that helps. Okay, so we've got Matt's question. We're finally up to Matt. Thank you so much, Matt, for your patience. And let's see. I don't see any new questions, so I'm just going to keep going with the questions. And okay, so we're up to Matt. Thank you again for your patience. And it says, I noticed in a comment a few days back that you said Axure is the only prototyper. This is the first time I'd heard of it. Mind you, I've had my blinders on with Adobe XD for the last 2 years. I glanced through the website a bit and it appears much like other prototypers. What pushes them to the top for you? So Axure has been around for how long now? 15, 16 years? They've been around a very long time, but they're usually not at the top of people's list, mostly because it's a more expensive tool and it is harder to learn, but it does more. So it's one of those things, larger learning curve, but then holy cats, way more features and things you can do. So people run hot and cold with it. For me, I know it's not the only prototyper out there, but for me, it's the only prototyper out there. I tried Just in Mind a couple of times, and I felt like I was back in calculus when I wanted to write a condition. Some people told me to look at Framer and some of these other things, but I couldn't get done what I wanted to get done. And then things like InVision and Figma and Adobe XD are really what we would call click-through models, which is you just basically go click to this page, click to this page, click to this screen, then they see this, then they see this, but you can't actually interact with it realistically, like you can't fill out a form or things like that. Shahadabur, I see your question. I'm going to add it to the list. There's another one before you. Darren says, Axure and UXPin are the only 2 tools in this arena that truly generate prototypes. Yeah, and I didn't love UXPin, but again, if it works for you, that's all that matters. To me, the most important thing that you can do with a prototype is build something that is realistic. And that's where, to me, all the other ones fall short. XD, Figma, Sketch, if that even prototypes, Microsoft Excel, no offense, Oz. Who did I miss? InVision, who did I miss? So the problem is that, Shalene says, love Axure. Me too. So the problem is that, let's say we wanted to showcase an idea around our workplace. If we have a prototype that is not realistic, we're going to have to explain it a lot. Well, you know, when people come here, they're really going to be able to do this or this, and then this thing's going to come down, and then this thing's going to slide out. But I'm just kind of clicking through it now. So it's a non-realistic prototype. You have to explain it to people. Now they have to remember what you're saying, cognitive load, and that's not great. When I'm done with an Axure prototype, I give it to engineering, and I go, what else do you need from me? Documentation? They go, no. We know exactly what to build because your prototype is exactly what this thing will be. I usually still give them some notes, but I don't have to give them monster documentation. They love that. But if we tried to give somebody an InVision prototype and give it to engineering and say, okay, engineering, you're building that, they'd be like, what is this? What is this? Where's all the other screens, panels, error states, you know? So what I love about Axure the most, and again, not sponsored, I pay them, is that I love it for its realism. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's visually designed. This could be medium fidelity, but it's more about I can create a prototype that functions realistically, that people can fill out a form. I can validate the form. I can give them an error message or a fake error message. I can manipulate some data. I can give people different paths to go based on something they do. They do this, now they're following this path, or they're following this path. I can trap information behind the scenes with variables. I can use conditional logic so that things are more realistic. It's highly, highly realistic to what the finished product will be like. And that's why, to me, there is no other option, because if you take an envisioned prototype to usability testing, what are you usability testing? It's not a realistic version of the product. It's missing a lot of interactivity. My girls are completely asleep after running in the woods. Maybe Axure should pay you. I don't think they want to. I think they're happy with the free love. So I hope that answers, Matt. You're over in the LinkedIn chat, so sometimes they are 2 or 3 minutes behind, but if you have a follow-up question, please send it over and I will be happy to address your follow-up question. And nothing else coming in through the email, so let's go back to the other questions that we've had here. We had something about user stories. I don't remember where that was. And Darren also says, great point. Figma, XD, Sketch, and all of the other popular simulators do not provide the means to engage with forms realistically. No data entry. Yes. And Solomon, I see your question, and you will be put on the end of the list. I think there's 2 ahead of you, so thank you for your patience. And let's take a look. So someone said, hi, Debbie, can you talk? I think this might have been the one that came in anonymously. Hi, Debbie, can you talk about good user stories and bad ones from a CX point of view, how they should be structured, what they should contain, and why? Thanks for a great AMA. Thank you. You all make it great by asking good questions. And don't forget, follow, subscribe. I'm working on my goal of 50 Twitch followers this month, so please join there. And also remember, we're doing a Twitch giveaway this month. I'll draw a winner at the end of the month. Put ! giveaway over on Twitch. If you try to enter more than once, I think it only counts once. But just enter, and the prize is a full-color hardcover book signed personally to you by me and shipped from my house. So please follow on Twitch. And then, of course, optional tip jar. Okay, so back to the questions. User stories. So user stories is a certain type of user needs or wants, hypothetically, a certain thing for a certain reason. Now, to me, some of the better user stories I've seen would be focused more in on user types or personas or roles. I think it's not as good a user story when it's like, our users want this. Well, hold on, do they all want this? Maybe they do. Maybe that's not right. So make sure we start with, when we're talking about users, if it's really only a subset of them, let's be clear about that so that we really keep in mind what we're doing. Kayleen says, are you planning to become a Twitch affiliate? Why not? And then Derek, I see your question. I will add it to the end. So thing 1, let's make sure we know exactly which users we're talking about so we can keep in mind what these people need and what their tasks are. Now, the next part of the user story is usually, what do they need? Now, this, I think, can go wrong when people get too specific solution focused. You wouldn't want to say, our fantastic Darren persona really needs graphs with a blue square and has this on the x-axis and this on the y-axis and this button over here because he is in marketing. I don't see that very much, but I think we run the risk that user stories get a little bit overwritten where they start to have the exact execution of the idea in there. And I think user stories should be a little bit more focused on generally what we're going for. I mean, later on, I think the acceptance criteria will get more granular about exactly what does this do and how does it work, but that's more for QA to be able to test against it. So user stories, I think, are supposed to stay more general. Because they're really, for some teams, replacing requirements. So this type of person needs this type of somewhat general thing. UX will come up with what is the right execution of the right idea for a certain reason. So again, the reason can be good or bad, real or made up. But to me, the best user story is going to have a non-made up, good reason that relates to a task someone is trying to accomplish. I think if you make it accidentally emotional, fantastic, Darren wants new graphs in our portal because he's picky about graphs. Well, hold on, that's not really what's going on here. He's got a job to do and he needs graphs, or he needs an updated portal, or he needs something from us because there's a task he's trying to accomplish. And if we've done good qualitative research, we should know what that task is. And I would like to see user stories include something about that task. So this person needs this because they're trying to get something really specific done. So I think that would be at least my take on where user stories can be better. I think we've seen a lot of bad user stories. I think we should work on them with product. I've seen sometimes product writes them without us. Not great. I've seen some people say UX should write them alone. Not great, because these are very often replacing requirements in some agile environments. I think this is an important place to collaborate. So I would say work with a product manager, maybe the business analyst as well, because sometimes these are supposed to also, it's a user story, but some people sneak in, as a user, the company wants to see more people paying for stuff, whatever it is. I've seen some of those. You can't totally develop for it, but there you go. So that's my general thoughts on that. I don't do a lot of user story stuff, so someone might have a better answer than I do, but my general thought is make it more focused on the user group or persona, make it more focused on their real needs based on the research we did, and make it more focused on the tasks they're trying to accomplish. Otherwise, we run the risk that it's either not actionable enough, not informative enough, or sounds a little made up. I hope that helps. Let me know if it hasn't. Next, how do you deal with a product owner who sucks at design but makes all the bad design decisions? There's so many answers to that, and it is a good question, and it's something a lot of people run into. I would say that the best thing that I can imagine is find a way to get that person held accountable for those decisions. Document what you did and document what they did. So if you designed this and then they changed it, document that. If you designed this, but then they went and made their own thing, document that. If you designed this and then they, whatever it is, make sure there's a record of it. I did this, this person decided this, and here's how that went. And I tell lots of stories about that kind of stuff all the time and in the talks that I do. And I just think that, I will usually go and tell my manager, just so there's a record of all this, hey, I designed this and I'm trying to do this, but this person keeps trying to make design decisions. I'm the designer, don't I get to make the design decisions? And how can we make sure that if this project ends up failing, or this project ends up causing us to have a lot of customer support or other problems, how can I make sure that this person is held accountable because they made the decision? So I think that accountability is going to be important. Darren and I are going to talk about that next week on the show, Wednesday the 17th. So I think accountability is going to start to change some of the dynamics in our companies. They will not enjoy taking a lot of that power away from us when we start going, yeah, remember when you made that decision, and then remember what it cost to clean that up and how often these things go bad. So I know that some people say, oh, well, that sounds bitter. Well, no, I don't mean it to be bitter. We should be held accountable. Everyone should. There's no reason to not be held accountable. So I'm hoping that accountability will help there. All right, moving on. And also, what was I going to say? There's something I was going to remind everybody, and now I forgot. I don't know, but I'll just put this up in case it was something about this. Oh yeah, tomorrow is our first ever live Slack networking adventure on AirMeet. So if you would like to meet other low ego action heroes from the community, make sure you've joined Slack, deltacx.link/join Slack. It'll be in the live events channel. Make sure you join #live events, and it will be announced there and only there. So make sure you are part of that world. Yes, it is free. All right. How do you estimate delivery time on UX projects? How much time do you give yourself or others reporting to for delivery? Super question from Solomon. I find that being able to me, this is part of strategy. Once we get past the level of proficiency where we are doing good work the right way, now we've got to figure out the strategy of this project, not the strategy of the whole company or the department, but the project level strategy. What are we doing? Which methodologies are we going to use? How long will that take? Who or what do we need to get that done? Not everybody is up to the point where they are strategic about these things. I find that very often people in their first few years of a UX or CX job are still not quite sure which thing to pick and how long it might take. And I think the best thing that people can do is just start timing themselves. And when you have a project where you're like, oh, okay, I'm going to do this type of research with this number of people, I'm just going to keep like a secret record of my hours and see how long this ends up really taking me. And you'll be surprised. It's way more hours than you think, but at least that will prepare you for estimating it next time. So everybody needs practice with estimating time. It's hard for me to say how long something will or should take. It's going to be about you and your team. I don't like to give people reduced timelines. I want to try to give them as much time as possible to do a good job. But of course, there's going to be a balance with the business and other people who are coordinating things. So I estimate time based on how things have gone in the past and what it tends to be like to try to get collaboration or approval from other people as that may require. I've gotten very good at time estimation. So I'm pretty confident in my ability to say, aha, that many people, that type of research, this type of analysis, these deliverables, a report, whoa, that's going to be, a zillion hours, or I'll have a real number. But I don't expect anybody to know that yet. The best you can do is start timing you. If people report to you, ask them to time themselves, but please make sure they know you're not going to be judging them. You're not going to be using these numbers on their reviews or assessments. You're really just trying to get a feel for how long things take so that we can do a better job planning projects for the real time that we need, and that no one will be judged by this. Nobody gets an award for working faster. Solomon says, accountability with design decisions. Please do it. I will definitely tune in for that. Often non-designers wanting to guess at design and pointing back to UX when it fails or causes issues needs to be addressed. Yeah, that'll be me and Darren on the 17th. So mark those calendars. I think that's what I would do. I think I always advise this to mid-level people is just start timing your stuff and keep records of it, and then eventually you'll do the math. This type of thing with this many people really took me this long. I thought it was going to be this. Oh my God, I was off. So then eventually you will get better at estimating your time. Right now it might be a wild guess. If you're really wildly guessing, come to me. Send me a note with some of the things you're doing, and I'll try to take a guess of how long I think your team could take or a person could take. But in general, it's going to be different for different people. This is Office Hours Ask Me Anything. You can ask all week long at deltacx.link/ask, and then you will be among the first questions to be answered. These are always archived on YouTube in the Office Hours playlist. So if you do miss one and you're sad about it, you can always go back and listen. So there's that. Okay, so we've got Derek's questions, and we can put these up on the screen. Aren't we just stuck with usability when we talk about experience? I feel most designers are afraid of experimentation. I feel you learn design more when you learn more on how this world works. I have found subjects like math, linguistics, anthropology, library science to be of much more value than books on UX. Okay, I think that's 3 questions. So let's take these in different order. Do I think knowing other stuff adds value? Yes. Can I prove that that's going to make you better at CX or UX work? No. But I think that anything you can understand about other topics can always bring something to your work. Sorry, checking on Low Ego Action Hero. She's on the couch and making herself a little nest. Deanna, are you okay? Deanna, are you okay? Now she's wagging happily. Are you passing me a Deanna? What's going on here? No. Optional Diana. Yeah, why not? For the audience, if you don't mind. Boyfriend will pass me the Diana. The famous low ego, our drummer girl. So I think thing one, yes, math, linguistics, anthropology, library science, music. There's all kinds of things that can definitely improve the world of UX. Hi. It's Diana, the low ego action hero. And she's being very huggy tonight because she's very sleepy from running in the woods. Say hi, everybody. I was running in the woods. I escaped today. Do you have scratches on your legs? If you do, then I know you climbed the fence. You do? I'll have to look. This is Diana. Second part of Derek's question, aren't we just stuck with usability when we talk about experience? I think there's more to experience than usability. What are you looking for? There's nothing exciting here. It's just lights. I think there's more than usability. There's certainly accessibility. What else do you think? What else is part of user experience? You just want to sit down. Darren, help me out here. I got dog on my brain. What else is usability and, well, organization and accessibility. But I mean, usability encompasses so much, so I don't want to downplay it and say, oh God, if we only talk about experience, it's just usability. You know, what else? Usability is a million different things, from error messages to organization to accessibility. There's a lot of components there to usability, and we just use that word and user-friendliness as a catch-all way, especially when we're talking to other teammates. So I don't want to play that down and make it sound like, you know, that's it. And most designers are afraid of experimentation. I think that's going to matter based on their work environment. I think some people are inspired to experiment, and some people, I mean, many of the jobs that I've been at, they've said, just go copy that competitor. It wasn't because I was afraid to experiment. It was because I wasn't allowed to. Oh, come here. Oh, Susu. Oh, Su Diana. Oh. I wasn't allowed to experiment. I was told, just rip off the competition. You know, just do what they're doing. So I don't want to put anyone in a bucket and overgeneralize and say, designers, they're afraid of experimentation. Many of us worked at jobs that do not support that. They don't let us. Are you going to look at the camera? No. You like the computer? Yeah. Oh, you have good taste. It's Diana, the low ego action hero. She's a smiley girl. Okay, smiley girl, thanks for hanging out, and thanks to Daddy for bringing you over. Bye. I probably have muddy hands now. So Darren says, hey, don't forget about cognitive load. Let's put it up. Cognitive loads, semiotics, the study of symbols like iconography, behavioral economics, etc., etc. Yeah, so, oh, now they're wrestling. Can you hear that? Two of the dogs are wrestling. Guys, thank you. Olivia, Diana. Okay, dog wrestling. The two of them love to wrestle. They're mother and daughter, so they have the funds. But again, these we could think of these as separate, or we could think of them as part of usability. Part of usability is how we use iconography, semiotics, information architecture, so I wouldn't play it down. Number one, on the afraid of experimentation point, folks don't like to find out their recommendations were flawed. Yeah, I think that really depends. Let's put that up. I think that really depends upon the culture of the organization. I love finding out my idea was bad because then I get the chance to make it better. But there are some cultures where that is either looked down on or they don't foster that. They claim they want to be innovative, but then if you come up with something, it's all sorts of scary and no, let's not do it. I have on my resume, because I think it's a fun conversation starter, that eBay once called me in many years ago to ask me to help them fix a problem. And when I wireframed an idea to fix it, they said, we're not going to do that. That's too innovative. Great, no problem. And by the way, they haven't fixed it. That was 2009, and they haven't fixed that problem. Same problem, still on their website. So is that because designers can't experiment? No, this is obviously crappy culture. Boo. I usually stick around here only about 5 more minutes, so if you do have any last questions, now would be the time to send them in. Otherwise, we will be wrapping up office hours. Don't forget, this happens every Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. Italy time, because that's where I am. And Ikening is here. Yay! He says, hi, Debs and low ego action heroes. My experience with experimental UX was mostly supported in the advertising world. When I moved from it and into finance, I found that fear of the unknown confined me to standards. I do agree. I think that advertising and agency life and consultant life normally has more flexibility, because normally someone says, you are the expert, just make the magic happen. At least that's been my experience when I've worked at agencies and consultancies. And then when I've been at corporations, it's been copy this competitor or stay in this box, or the product manager is going to tell you exactly what to do and you make a wireframe. So there you go. I think that covers all the questions we have. I'm actually caught up today, which is exciting. I hope everybody's February is going well. Did you get your chicken, Deanna? Do you need some help? Does Deanna need help with her chicken? Yeah, I can help her. I'll be off in some minutes. Sorry, Deanna. Deanna has a bad tooth, so we try to just give her certain pieces of chicken. It's very friendly over here. By the way, if you want to follow my dogs on Instagram, they have their own account. I'll put that up on the screen because it's a little hard to spell, but it is super fun. So if you want to follow the life of the dogs, let's put it up on the screen. If you are an Instagrammer, please follow the dogs. It is at Canetti Perfetti, and you'll get to meet all the kids. We try to stay out of the pictures. We just let the dogs shine. Sometimes you will see cats, and sometimes you will see the neighbors' horses. So lots of fun there. Please join us on Instagram. Jonathan, how's the new job? Did you move already? How's it going? Darren says, explains why product is increasing in corporate spaces, trying to pass it off as UX. Yeah, maybe. Derek says, I think this discussion will help the newbies. I hope so. I hope it helps everybody. I assume Jonathan is working on something because he's written, hey, Debbie, comma, but I don't know if that's just a typo. Jonathan, you're working on something? Send it over. And again, if anybody has any last questions for this week, let me know. Otherwise, while we're waiting, let me tell you the streams and live stuff that's coming up. You won't believe some of the people who I've got. I've just got Abby Covert to agree to join in. So we're going to have, oh good, you're settled in Dublin. Congratulations. Here's what's coming up. Tomorrow will be the first Slack networking meetup on AirMeet. So again, you'll need to join our Slack channel for that and join the live events channel so you can get the link to that. That is free. Monday the 15th, Sean McSharry will be on the show streaming live talking about UX and autism. And remember, all shows are 6:30 p.m. Italy time. Please adjust for where you live. Tuesday the 16th, office hours Ask Me Anything. Wednesday the 17th, Debbie and Darren talking about what if UX were actually held accountable. So exciting. By the way, it looks like Thursday the 18th, I'm going to be doing a new extended remix version for an LA UX group on my phases of proficiency. So there's that. Monday the 22nd is going to be, the lovely Dimitris Niavis from Greece is going to be doing data-driven versus data-informed. I think he has an article on UX Matters that I thought was neato, and I thought I'd have him on to talk about it. That will be our 100th episode, episode 100. So what do you think the cake should say, and will Italians be able to spell it? No, Jonathan, you can ask a question. I'm happy happy to take yours as the last question. Mark your calendars for Wednesday the 24th. I will be doing some of the slides from my upcoming HR training. I will be doing the comedy and tragedy of the worst UX job descriptions I have found. I believe there will be tears, so please come and listen to those slides. They hurt. I added one today. Monday, March 1st, Abby Covert, famous information architect who wrote something like, what's it called? How to Make Sense of Any Mess. She is going to join us to talk about information architecture, what it is, and why you should know about it. Wednesday, March 3, Dr. Seth Finkel is back, and he's going to talk about people-pleasing versus self-advocacy at work. Monday the 8th, we don't have a name for this yet, but Julia DeBari is going to come and talk about the sausage being made at the 7 boot camps where she has taught. That should get interesting. Wednesday the 10th, monthly Slack networking. I'm going to make it every second Wednesday of the month for the live Slack networking, so we will be there instead of here. And fast forward to, oh, I forgot. I'm so sorry. The Office Hours Ask Me Anything for February 13 is also going to be Darren and Dr. Nick. So it's going to be a three amigos Office Hours Ask Us Anything. That's February 23. We are going to have a very special Office Hours Ask Someone Anything on March 23. Steve Portugal will be here. You may have read his books. He will be doing Office Hours Ask Us Anything. And I have a comedy, Office Hours Ask Us Anything, scheduled for March 16. My friend Russell, who is a comedian, is going to take your questions. He knows nothing about UX, so I'm going to give him 15 seconds to answer each of your questions in the most comedic improv way he can, and then I will seriously answer your questions. So if you would like a famous Canadian radio host to answer your questions incorrectly, make sure you come by on March 16th. So let's see, what have people been writing now that I've been yapping? Can we have Dr. Nick? You can. He will be here for Ask Us Anything on February 23. Jonathan has a real question. The girls are fighting again. Jonathan has a real question, so we'll make that our last question for today. And Ikening says, I can't wait for those, especially the comedy of JD's. Yeah, that's February 24. It hurts. It really hurts. The UX job descriptions really hurt. Send some from South Africa. I know, I have a friend there in Cape Town, and she sometimes is like, oh, and I wish she had a better job sometimes. Don't tell her I said that. Jonathan, our super friend from South Africa, who's now living in Dublin, says, what would you advise when going about designing a component library? I've been looking for best practice. Okay, so remember, I am not a visual designer, so component libraries usually aren't my strength, but I have art directed a couple of them. First, I normally start with a list of the components that we want to make sure that we've included for starters. And sometimes I'm just looking at other component libraries or frameworks for examples of what those are. Are we using radio buttons or are we using something else? Do we need segmented controllers? I love segmented controllers. So usually I'm starting with a whole bunch of components that I intend to have. Now, some people get into atomic design. So you might want to look that up if you're not familiar with it, which is where you start with objects that are kind of in the smallest possible unit of an object that it could be. Like this is a rectangle, this is a rounded rectangle, and this is what words look like. Put them together, you have a button or a tab or something else. What are they fighting over? What are you fighting over? Episode 17 was design systems, but again, you can search on YouTube. YouTube search is quite good. Delta CX design systems, and we have a great interview with a super talented visual designer I got to work with to talk about some approaches to that. See if that helps you there. But best practices, well, obviously accessibility. I think that's one thing people forget when they make these component libraries and these design systems and UI kits and whatever we're calling them this week is I really think they often forget about accessibility. They make things gray on gray on gray. They go for trends like neumorphism or other stuff that work against accessibility. So I would say really make accessibility the top of your list and baked in from the start. Don't design something and then try to accessible it later. That is not going to be the way to go. Make sure it's accessible from the start. Make sure you have good color contrast. Make sure it works for the colorblind. All of that stuff. Look up the WCAG standards, the WCAG standards. I'm so sorry, our girls are wrestling each other over chicken. I think Olivia's eaten everybody's chicken. And there's a small war. But those are some of the things that I would suggest. I haven't seen terrible advice on design systems, so I'm not too sure there are bad articles out there, but I think people do tend to forget accessibility. Another thing that I would recommend for a design system that I don't always see mentioned, but it's important to me, is I cannot tell you what a living nightmare it is for me, and I don't consider myself disabled, to try to check a checkbox. The checkbox is so tiny, and I have to get my mouse just on it, and I suffer from slippery mouse, and I click the wrong things all the time, and I wish people made larger tappable areas. Let the checkbox be tappable and a bunch of pixels around it and all the words next to it. Just make this stuff really generous. Great for accessibility, great for just someone like me who hates microscopic clickable things. The close box in some sort of pop-up or modal. Why? I understand it could be a dark pattern. You don't want me to click it. You're going to make that so hard to do. Please don't make it hard to do. That's not accessible. And then, of course, speaking with accessibility, remember that you're going to need focus indicators, and this is going to have to work for people who use a mouse and people who tab through sites. So that's more to look out for. Jonathan says, I've got a copy of Brad Frost's Atomic Design, so I'm glad you referenced that. Yeah, again, I haven't read it. I've just read a couple of the articles that referenced it, and it seemed interesting. So that's something you can go for. So on that note, I think I'm going to have to wind this down for now, but there were so many great questions today. Thanks to everybody for joining in. And, I just bought it. Okay, good. So you'll have it soon enough. So hopefully I will see everybody tomorrow in the Air Meet with the live Slack networking meetup. I am not doing Clubhouse, and I currently have no plans to do Clubhouse. It just doesn't sound great to me. I think y'all hear my voice enough, and I think it would be much better to do these Air Meets where we can meet and network on, not Slack. We start on Slack, we move over to Air Meet. We've got video, we've got audio. We can do one-on-ones. We can do little virtual tables. And I'm not feeling the Clubhouse thing, but also it's a club they don't want me in because I use Android. So I accept your middle finger. On that note, I'm going to wrap it up. And Darren says Clubhouse is audio only anyway. I'm sure I look better with your eyes closed, but I would say in general, I think that the video is a lot of fun. People seem to enjoy watching or listening to the YouTube things later. So, you can always listen to me with your eyes closed and pretend it's Clubhouse. No extra charge. And actually I read an article that made me sad about Clubhouse. They talked about how it was really the Black community that made Clubhouse a success. And then the Black community has kind of been pooped on Clubhouse and, not been treated well. And that made me sad. So not running to Clubhouse. So, but there you go. All right. With that, sorry we ran a little late, but I hopefully gave people some answers. And if you have any follow-up questions, you can always send them anonymously, deltacx.link/ask. If you have general questions, you can join the Slack workspace and ask them there. People ask questions in the general chat room all the time, and everybody chimes in. Not everybody. There's 460 people now. Some people chime in. But it's a great, helpful community. So thanks again, and I will hopefully see everybody next week at the next adventure. Delta CX, available for CX and UX consulting, projects, and training. Contact us for a free consultation